joining us today. So, welcome to the IBM Developer Series, where we have webinars based on data and AI, microservices, and other topics which we focus on. And today's webinar focuses on trying to build a custom language analysis model with Watson Knowledge Studio and natural language understanding. And my name is Mridul Bhandari, and with me I have Khalil Faraj, and we'll be hosting the webinar for today. So there are some resources for this webinar which we'd like to share with you, as you can see it on the screen right now. So we have the Get Started Here link, which is the link for the GitHub repository for the hands-on session today. And then we have an asset link, which is a GitHub repo, which we'll be utilizing for today. And then we have the survey link. So if you have to drop any time in between of the webinar, you could just go ahead and fill the survey and let us know how we did this webinar. And you can also use your phone cameras to scan the QR code on the screen, and you can let us know how we have done this webinar and what we should focus on next. So to introduce ourselves, we'll try to go in a bit more detail so that we connect with you, and you can also reach out to us and discuss things about the today's webinar or any other things about tech. So my name is Mridul Bhandari, and my pronouns are he and him, and I'm a IBM developer advocate. I'm based out of Dubai, and I love playing football and badminton. And I also love watching sports like cricket, badminton, football. And something I really find about interesting about language processing is how we can use machines to understand us and to create some really useful programs that can really help us in identifying going some interesting products which can help us in our daily lives, and which can save us a lot of time and cost while performing some tasks. So now I'll hand it over to Khalil for him to introduce himself.
Yes, thank you, Mridul. Hey, everyone. My name is Khalil. You can call me Khalil, that's fine, because I know some people have difficulty to pronounce the kh. So just like Mridul, I work for IBM as a developer advocate. It's been around 1 year and 9 months. I mainly focus on data and AI services. I'm originally from Lebanon, but then I moved to Dubai to be part of IBM. Something I love, there are a lot of things that I love, but let's go with sports. I really love sports. I used to play basketball, I play tennis. And other than that, these days, especially with the COVID pandemic, I really enjoy binge watching. So if you have any recommendation for good Netflix series or any new movies, just feel free to put that on the chat. What do I find interesting about language processing? I think this is a very disruptive technology. It's innovating the world as we know it. So any kind of technologies that's really making a big impact to what we currently are, I find it pretty interesting. And definitely language processing is one of these, as we will see later on this workshop, how it increases productivity in all different kind of industries. So it's a pretty interesting workshop. I hope you will enjoy it. Let's go back to Mridul so we can start with this session. Mridul, back to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Khalil. So I think Khalil, your screen is stuck. Yeah. So for today's session, we'll do some housekeeping so that we get familiar with the platform we're using. So Crowdcast is a really useful platform, and it is it has got some really amazing tools. And I'll just give you a small tour on how to use these tools. So on the top, you can see the title of the session, and you can click on the eye to get more information about this session and about the prerequisites and about us. My Khalil and my social LinkedIn profile links are there, so you can reach out to us. Next, we have the IBM developer account, which is what is hosting this webinar. So you can click on follow, and you can get notified about our upcoming events and webinars and workshops, and you'll keep yourself posted with these updates. And then we have some workshop resources, which I mentioned in the start. You can also access them by clicking on the green button. So you can click on the Get Workshop Resources button, and you can go to the resources, redirect you. And then we have a Ask a Question panel. So you can click on that. You can ask your queries over there, and we'll try our best to respond to them as soon as possible. And then you have the chat section where you can interact with us and the other attendees. As you can see, there are some messages put out there. You can reply to those, and you can go ahead and answer those questions, and you can also chat with other attendees. And then we have a poll session also. So we have asked some questions over here. So it would be great if you go ahead and answer these questions. There's some 3 questions over there, so you can go ahead and answer those. It's just a yes or no question, so it's not something you have to type. You just to select your options, and it's just to understand and interact with you. So you can go ahead and answer these poll questions, and yeah, and that's about Crowdcast as a platform. So today's agenda. So today, firstly, we'll be covering why human language. Then we'll be covering what is AI versus ML, and then we'll be focusing on the difference between NLP and NLU. And then we'll be going over through the machine learning types and the main challenges we face in the industry today. And then I'll be talking about what's an NLU and Knowledge Studio. And then we'll have the hands-on session, which will be conducted by Khalil. So why human language? So what is the need to understand human language? So in the industry today, actually a lot of industries like health, finance, insurance, retail shops, banks, they are all focusing on natural language understanding. And this the focus is because they want to increase the productivity of the systems, because they want to use applications like chatbots, automated ticket support, checking grammar, data insights. They want to get data insights and all these other applications. So they're really increasing, they want to understand the language, and this because this helps them increase the productivity. There are other platforms like, other tools like credit worthiness assessment. So for banks to assess for you, usually you have to fill an application for a loan, and then you get you're credit worthy or not for the loan. But this process could be automated if this is done by an online application when you fill it. And this could also lead to reduction in bias, which usually happens when banks evaluate themselves when there's a human involvement in the process. Even in advertising and marketing. So there are a lot of feedbacks that are coming up from customers, and they want to understand, they want to analyze from where this feedback is coming, what it is it coming regarding, which product is selling more, what is performing, what is not doing so well, or what is the service is not so great. So it's really important for even for the advertising and marketing industry to understand to analyze the language and to create insights on that. And they can target their products accordingly, and they can shift the focus of the business according to the analysis they get from these by understanding the language. And even in hiring and recruitment, so we have this automated platforms such as ATS, which is automatic CV reviewers, where you upload your resumes, and then they are matched if they match the job profile which has been posted by the company, and they filter out the applicants which will go to the next stage. So even by in hiring and recruitment, you have a lot of companies, they do that. So you upload your resume, and then it analyzes. And sometimes you also upload your resume, it fills out the forms, your details from the resume which you have uploaded, so you don't need to type it again. So all this is this is leading to an increase in productivity of these companies, and for that they also keep understanding the natural language. And then we also have chatbots. So if you visit various websites, on the on the bottom corner you'll have an icon which you click, and then you'll have a chatbot. So you go ahead, you put your query over there, you ask questions about the product, about the service they offer, and then you get a reply to this. And the question can be asked in various manners. So this is very important. So you need to understand the human language. So it's really, the current industry requires us to understand the natural language, and it also helps in increasing the productivity of companies in various fields and industries. Yeah, Khalid, could you move to the next slide? So next we have the AI versus ML. So in this new era of technology, companies and developers around the world are talking about adapting to AI, machine learning, and deep learning. Now all these terms and acronyms are often loosely used in the field of technology. It is important to understand that all these acronyms are a part of AI. So they all, AI is the umbrella in which ML and deep learning come into. So AI is an umbrella discipline that covers everything related to making machines smarter, and machine learning is the commonly used term along with AI, but it is a subset of AI. So ML refers to an AI system that can self-learn based on an algorithm. So the systems that get smarter over and over time without human intervention is because of machine learning. Now, deep learning is a machine learning applied to larger data sets. So, deep learning itself is a branch of machine learning, and machine learning it's a branch of AI. So, whenever we have large data sets, that's when the deep learning comes into play. And most AI works involves ML because intelligent behavior requires considerable knowledge. And as humans have been obsessed with automation since the beginning of technology adoption, AI enables machines to think without any human intervention. And it is a broad area of computer science. So all these three types, they come into that, and they encompass basically everything related to these fields. So AI encompasses everything, and then ML comes into that. It kind of complements AI. That would be the I think that would be the better way to put it. It complements AI because, as I mentioned, you require a lot of statistics and analysis, and machine learning with the help of which is done with the help of algorithms really helps in analyzing and learning from previous outputs and inputs, and then giving better results and keep improving the accuracy over time. Yeah. So next we have what is the difference between NLP and NLU. So let's just try to go a bit step back and understand. So natural language has evolved over time. It's via use and repetition, and this does not happen with deliberate planning and strategy. It just over the term of use and repetition, it has evolved itself, and it has not come from a proper structure. So it varies from formal or constructed languages, and because it comes from different origins, and the path of development can be different, which is not which is different, as we have our programming language, which have a very structured way, and which have been gone through a series of strategies and a pattern to for development. But natural language is the case not so with that. So for a machine to be autonomous, a key tenet is to be able to communicate with humans over with one of the natural languages known to humans. And in the world of AI, one field that deals with enabling machines to interact using this language, this is natural language processing. Now, NLP is the umbrella term which encompasses anything and everything related to making machines able to process natural language. So that can be receiving input, understanding the input, and generating a response. And there's another term which is used often as a synonym, which is known as NLU, that is natural language understanding. So though NLP and NLU focus on different areas, it's kind of they're used as synonyms. So today we'll try to different show how they're different from each other and how they overlap. So firstly, what is natural language processing? So from a computer's point of view, any natural language is a free form of text. So that means there are no set of keywords at set positions when providing an input. And beyond the unstructured nature, there are also multiple ways to express something using natural language. So let's take an example. I'll tell you three sentences, and I'll explain how what is with this example. I understand. I'll explain NLP. So let's say I'm trying to inquire about the weather today. So I could ask in three ways. It could be how is the weather today, or it could be is it going to rain today, and or do I need to take my umbrella today. Now all these three sentences have the same underlying question, which is to inquire about today's weather forecast. Now, as humans, we can identify such underlying similarities almost effortlessly and respond accordingly. But this is a problem for machines and any algorithm that will need input to be in a set format. So these three sentences vary in the structure and format because the focus. Even when I mentioned the last sentence, do I need to take my umbrella today? It is understandable to us as humans that it's we are asking because we are trying to inquire about the weather. But for the machines, it might not relate to that. It might just say whether I should take my umbrella or not, and it might not understand what context it's been asked. And if we decide to code rules for each and every combination of words in any natural language to help a machine understand, then things can get very complicated very quickly, because it has an n number of permutations and combinations which it can which it can reference to in different sentences or different context. So this is where NLP enters the picture. So NLP is a subset of AI tasks which enables machines to interact using natural languages. So the domain of NLP also ensures that machines can process large amounts of natural language data, and it also helps in deriving insights and information from this input. But before any of this natural language processing can happen, the text needs to be standardized. So in the machine learning jargon, the series of steps that are taken are called data pre-processing. And the idea is to break down the natural language text into smaller and more manageable chunks. So then these can be analyzed by ML algorithms to find relations, dependencies, and context among various chunks. So some examples of pre-processing. So as you can see the words on the screen under NLP in the Venn diagram, we have parsing, stop word removal, part of speech tagging, tokenization. So this is basically we try to break the sentence and or these in language into structure into small parts so that it's easier for the algorithms to understand. So we sometimes we tag the part of the speech, we try to recognize the entity which the sentence is speaking about. Then we do parsing. Then we do text categorization and machine translation, and various other steps to break down this into chunks so that it's easier for the machine learning algorithms to understand and try to transform into as close to a standardized structure as possible with the help of this pre-processing steps. Next, we have natural language understanding. Yeah, Khalil, could you go back? Yeah. So the main focus of natural language understanding is to make machines. Khalil, could you go back? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. To make machines interpret the natural language, derive meaning, identify context, and draw insights. Now, for example, in NLU, various ML algorithms are used to identify the sentiment, perform named entity recognition, and process the semantics and standardize the text by pre-processing various pre-processing steps. So let's go back to the weather inquiry example. So it is NLU which enables the machine to understand those three different questions have the same underlining weather forecast query. So different sentences can mean the same thing and vice versa. So the same words can mean different things and depending how they're used. So this is where the natural language understanding comes into play. So let's take another example. So now the banks will be closed for Thanksgiving, and the river will overflow the banks during floods. So now in this case, they're referring to different banks. So a task called word sense ambiguation disambiguation, which sits under the NL umbrella, makes sure that the machine is able to understand the two different senses that the word bank is used for. So this is how we do is we try to paraphrase we try it's like this is an example of natural language inference. So we are trying to what we are trying to inference with the bank over here. So which bank is it trying to inference to? So if it's relating to Thanksgiving, it's relating to a holiday, and that's why it's referring to the banks and the physical banks. I mean the ones where we the like your banks where you have your which relates to the money one, and then the one which is next to the river, it relates to the ones the banks over there. So the it has tried to relate to using other words in the sentence. So you can these are called dialogue agents. So you try to take the words, the other entities, and you try to relate and which banks it's referring to. And this is how we categorize the sentence and the term, and then we try to inference. So this is what is natural language understanding is. And the task which I said is word sense disambiguation, this comes underneath, and this helps us in differentiating between the two banks. So in natural language and NLP, natural language, what is expressed as via speech or text is not always what is meant. So NLP focuses on processing the text in literal sense, like what was said, and NLP will take the it will focus on processing the text. It will take the text and it'll try to break down into chunks and put into algorithms to try to give the response. So this is how the two differentiate, and they also overlap in some manner because they work in correlation with each other. Yeah, could you move to the next slide? So then within machine, as I mentioned, we use various machine learning algorithms. Now within machine learning also we have three categories. So there's something called unsupervised learning. So in unsupervised learning, we and then we have these various algorithms like big data visualization, meaningful compression, structure discovery, uh, and recommended systems and everything. So NLU comes under unsupervised learning because we don't have a exactly we don't know what the output could be. So we're trying to understand from the context, and we're trying to provide the closest response to it. It's trying to learn and over time and then give the response to it. So it's not a definite response to something. It's something that can be changed according to different sentences, different meanings the context the words could mean, and what it's trying to reference to. And then we have a supervised learning, so which really deals with image classification, customer retention, diagnostics, fraud detection, etc. And we also have the third category, that is reinforcement learning. So this mainly comes in relation to deep learning, where you're trying to do real time decision making, or we're trying to game AI. We're trying to use AI models to create games. And then we have some we're trying to learn some tasks from previous we're trying to learn some tasks and replicate those tasks. Or if there's some skill acquisition or or something like robot navigation, so you're trying to cover. So that's when reinforcement learning comes into play. Yeah, could you move to the next slide? So the main challenge we face in the industry today that there's a high demand for data scientists and ML engineers. So and but but this high demand is not being able to met because there's a lack of skills to meet this demand. So we don't have a lot of people who are trained in these domains, and there's a lack of infrastructure that is being able to train these people also. So people are not sure where to go from, what is the right thing, what is the path. So these are two challenges we face mainly. And third is, traditional ML techniques are time consuming and they require a lot of effort. So like the traditional ML techniques, you go through data preparation, then deciding the right algorithm. It requires strict resources and there are deployment challenges faced. So these are some challenges that are faced in the industry in relation to data ML, machine learning, and data science and AI and these fields which are facing right now. So yeah, can you go to the next slide? So now we have two, uh, one of the platforms from IBM Cloud, which really helps in understanding natural language. So with Watson natural language understanding, you can use advanced natural language processing to analyze text and extract metadata from content. You can extract such as concepts, entities, keywords, categories, sentiments, emotions, relations, and semantic roles, and you can apply custom annotations models developed using Watson Knowledge Studio to identify the industry/domain and specific entities it's trying to reference to and create relations in unstructured text using Watson language understanding. So Khalil will be using this in our hands-on session today, and he'll be trying to cover this and he'll show you how we can use this and how this really eases the process of understanding the natural language. Khalil, could you next slide? So in the last slide, I mentioned you could use models from Knowledge Studio and everything. So what is Knowledge Studio? So you know you can you can teach Watson the language of your domain with custom machine learning models that identify entities and relations unique to your industry in unstructured text with the help of Knowledge Studio. So you can build your own models in a collaborative environment designed for both developers and domain experts, and this can be done without the need to write code. So you can use these models in other Watson services such as Discovery, Natural Language Understanding, and Watson Explorer also. So you can go ahead and you can try this platform, and Khalil will be showing us in our hands-on session that without coding, he's going to create a custom natural language analysis model. So yeah, so now I'll hand over to Khalil to take us through the hands-on session for today.
Yes, thank you, Mridul. Hey, everyone. So please, the first thing is we need to make sure that you're already signed up or you already have your account ready and you're signed into IBM Cloud. So we'll give a couple of minutes to make sure that everyone is set. And to make sure that you are on this step, just please can you send the number one? So we'll be following this system where every time whenever if we're done with a step, I'll be asking you to send a number. So this is the first step, which is to have your IBM Cloud account ready. So just send number one on the chat to make sure that you have already created your account, you've signed into IBM Cloud so we can get started. I'll wait a minute. Meanwhile, just if you already have done this, just send number one. And give me actually 1 minute. I need to fix something with my earphones, so I'll be back. 1 second. Okay, yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. So yes, I hope I still don't see any numbers, guys. So please, I just want to know if you have already created your account. If not, then I will just proceed because there's no one at the moment who has any issues. So if you're already there, just send number one. If you want more time, just let me know in the chat. By the way, the resources are below the screen. So if you go under the green button, under the screen where we're talking, there is the screen button. You can click on it, and this will direct you to the resources. I'll start sharing the GitHub repository meanwhile. So that's the workshop resources where you can just click on it, and it will direct you to the to the GitHub repository. So this is basically our repo that we will be working with. I want to make sure that you download this. So if you click on code, download zip, just make sure to download this file, this repo, because it has all the resources that we will be needing. And before actually going to talk about the workshop, I just want to double check that everybody has signed for the IBM Cloud. So there is here the link. You can simply just click on it, and it's very simple. All you have to do is just to add your email, your password, then you receive a verification link with the registered email, and then that's it. They might ask you they will ask you some personal information fields. You can just go ahead, fill them, and make sure to select the country that you're in when you are registering. That's it. You should be good to go. So I still don't see any issues and any numbers. So I'm not sure if you're good to go with that. But with that, I'll proceed. So basically, the code lab. Let's go to discuss what we'll be doing today. So our use case, I want you to imagine that you have a car repair shop, and you want to determine the overall performance of your shop reviews. So Mridul was explaining earlier in this session that one of the main use cases in LU is extracting data insights. Just like, for example, when you talk about marketing and advertising, maybe let's say you have any kind of retail shop, you want to see how your shop is doing. So by getting these reviews, we can run NLU and start extracting insights from them. Like these can be sentiments as positive or negative reviews, these are basically sentiments, or in this case will be as well the type of repair that the shop is mostly doing. So you see in a repair shop, you might be fixing tires, you might be fixing glasses, engine. So we can start extracting these. So what kind of repairs you are actually doing, and we can, for example, say that if a specific review that's talking about a glass is positive, and we have 10 other reviews about the glass that are all positive, then we can understand that the work that we're doing on glasses are pretty good. Same thing can be happen for the engine. Let's say maybe their customers are not very proud when it comes to repairing tires. Then here, as you, the shop owner, can understand that this area needs some improvement. So this is basically what we'll be doing, using NLU to extract data insights, in this case for a repair shop, car shop facility or field industry. And to do this, basically, we will be using two main technologies, which is the Watson NLU and the Watson Knowledge Studio. So basically, Watson Knowledge Studio will be our tool that will help us to build a custom linguistic model for this auto repair facility repair shop to be able to generate insights about the overall performance. So just like we said before, we're going to be able to extract these sentiments and the type of repairs to determine the customer satisfaction, if they are happy or not. So eventually, once we will be able to build this model with Knowledge Studio, we can then use it with Watson NLU. So just to make a clear kind of to simplify the technologies here, Watson NLU is the tool that is going to read these reviews. So we run it on passages, on text to extract the insights. But the thing is, Watson NLU, it has this already dictionary. It has a general knowledge base that's used for more generic topic. But once you go ahead to a very specific industry, to a vocabulary maybe that doesn't exist at the moment with Watson NLU, you will need to teach Watson NLU these new vocab words. So if you're working with, for example, in this industry of car repair shops, most probably Watson NLU won't be able to understand all of the terms there. So it won't be able to understand the word engine or the word glasses. So what exactly do you mean by that? So that's why we need to teach it. And we teach it by feeding it more words, by training it through Watson Knowledge Studio. So this is what we'll be doing. We're going to build a model specifically that understands the vocabulary of the repair facility car shop, and we will be adding this model on top of the knowledge base that Watson NLU currently have. So by default, we won't be kind of overriding anything. So whatever Watson NLU has, it will be there, and basically we'll be adding on top of it. This is how it works. So this is kind of our workshop. Let's get started with it. So I'm pretty sure by that time you already have your account. So let's go ahead to IBM Cloud. Okay, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so this is basically how IBM main dashboard looks like. So once you've signed in, you will see this dashboard. And basically what you want to start with is creating resources. So in our case, we have two main resources to create, basically technologies, which are Watson NLU and Watson Knowledge Studio. I want to make another explanation, maybe for developers who have already used Watson Studio. Watson Studio is not Watson Knowledge Studio. They are different. Watson Studio, I mean, both they are intended to be able to help us to build machine learning models. But Watson Studio is more, for it's as well a data science tool. It's more for everything. While Watson Knowledge Studio is only for languages. So we are building machine learning models specifically for natural language and natural language processing and understanding. So this is just to put it at the beginning to make sure that you don't confuse between these two. So let's go ahead and click on the blue button right here, create resource. And the first resource that we'll be creating will be the Watson NLU, so Watson Natural Language Understanding. You can simply search here in the catalog Watson NLU. And once you search, it's taking a bit some time. Okay, you will see it right here. So basically that's the one that we need, the natural language understanding. So we can click on it. And it has a free plan. So all you have to do is just choose the light free plan, give it a name. And of course, you need to make sure to select a location. So just go with any location you want. It won't matter. It's up to you. Go with the light one. Leave the resource group, in this case default, that's totally fine. I don't think you can change that. And then you can just give your service a name. So now I have already my service created. My instance is already there, but all you have to do in this case, after you give it whatever name you want, and after you chose light plan, and of course you chose location, just click on create. So now if you go to IBM Cloud, if you click on here, you will see the service created under your resources. Now, meanwhile, once you have created the service, just send number 2 on the chat to know that you are doing good, you are okay, you are following along, you're not facing any issues. So if you have already created, just drop a 2 on the chat so we can go to the next step. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for people to send the number 2, if you go here to resource summary, so right here, you will see that the Watson NLU is created under services and software. So let's expand this. Okay, you will see here. Now, in my case, I have a lot of services. In your case, if you're new, you will only see the natural language understanding service there for you. So just like that, you will see your service, you will see the group default, and you're going to see your location. In my case, I chose London. So this is how we created our first service. Now we're not going to use it by this time, but we're going to explore more about these two, how they work before proceeding. But I just want to see if you are doing okay. Okay, still, I don't see any numbers. I hope you're doing fine. So yeah, to explain more about natural language understanding, basically it looks like that. So this is a demo on IBM. I want to show you how it is. And you can access this, by the way, through the GitHub repository. So let me go back to the GitHub. Sorry, I know I'm moving a lot of tabs, but let me put this here. Okay, so if you go back to the repo and just scroll to the very end, under references, you will see that there are 2 links in here. It's a demo for Watson NLU, and then we will go to talk about the demo for Knowledge Studio. So these are kind of demo, just to give you a bit of explanation on what exactly are these services. So now if we go back to the NLU demo, in this case, for example, we have a legal industry domain in here with this text. So you can click on analyze text, and basically it can start extracting entities, like in this case, the director and corporate governance, full board, the IBM, the type, knows the type, for example, IBM is a company. For the confidence score, there are some keywords that you can detect, some concepts, relation. In this case, there is no relations; they are not defined. But this is basically how we can start generating, extracting data insights. There is classification, like to understand the sentiment of this overall passage document. Emotions, like in this case, mostly it's closer to joy, linguistics, custom. So this is kind of what do we mean by natural language understanding. By text analysis, basically, we're extracting these insights throughout the service. So now the second service that we want to create is the Watson Knowledge Studio, which is basically the service that will help us to build a custom or to train our Watson LU to understand more and more vocabulary. In our case, it will be for the car repair facility. So let's go back to IBM Cloud. And just like we created the first service, we're going to do the exact same thing. So we go ahead, click on Create Resource. And then from here, just search for Watson Knowledge Studio. So that's the one, Knowledge Studio. It's not the catalog, again, it's the studio. So click on the Knowledge Studio. And again, the exact same thing. You're going to choose the location. Make sure to choose the exact same location like the one before. It's better to make sure that they're all together. The same default resource group, give it any name you want, and then you can just go ahead and click on Create. Right, so now once you've done this, just send number 3 to know that you're okay. If you have any issues at the moment, please let me know. If not, then we'll proceed. And meanwhile, let's go and explore more about Node Studio. So again, in the repo, there was a link below the video that directs us to the demo of Node Studio, which looks like that. So by what's Node Studio, as I was explaining before, it helps us to make more content for our NLU. In this case, the untrained model, for example, it can only understand basic stuff, like it understands that Focus is a vehicle, Ford is an organization, company, just like that. So and this is for the auto insurance field. In this case, all we have, Ford Focus, but we can't actually extract like the type of incidents, the weather conditions, the outcome of the accidents, because these are not at the moment trained by the NLU to be able to detect them. But once you train the model, in this case, like that, here. So we are actually started to train the model by creating our own entities. So in this case, this demo has created an entity called condition, like a dark, ran, clear. As well, we have, for example, the incident. We have created an entity for incidents to understand that what happened. In this case, there was a left side leading rollover, as well as another entity, for example, for accident outcome. So in this specific case, there were minor injuries. We can create relations that who has suffered from the injury. It was a driver. Another accident outcome that has to be transported to a local hospital. So now if you see it in this box right here, we can see that there are much more information that we can extract. In the first one, we will only be able to extract the covered vehicle. But now we can understand the type of incidents. We can understand the part of a car that have been impacted. Just like here, we have an entity called part of car that has been trained to understand that roof is a part of car. So now it has detected this, the weather conditions, how they were during this accident. There was dry, clear, dark, and and the accident outcome, like minor injuries, transport to a local hospital. So these by default, Watson and you won't be able to understand it because these are for more specific context, right? They are more advanced. So that's why we use Node Studio to train the NLU to be able to go ahead and understand more and more stuff, just like this example. So this is what we'll do kind of similar, of course, on a simpler level, but this is the concept. So I hope by this time you have created your Node Studio. If not, just drop a message so I can wait more. But at the moment, I don't see any messages, so I'll just proceed. So go to your IBM Cloud right here, just like the first time after you've created, you can go and click on IBM Cloud, and this will direct us to the main dashboard. And we're going to do the exact same thing. So under resources, we will see services and software. We're going to click on this to access our Knowledge Studio instance that we just created. So here in resource summary, there is services and software. Click on this. All right. we expand service and software, and in this case, this is my Knowledge Studio. So just click on this. So Knowledge Studio is kind of a service by itself. So that's why we're going to launch the tool. So you will see launch Watson Knowledge Studio. You click on this blue button, and this will redirect us to a whole new page, which represents the Knowledge Studio tool by itself. And this is where we can start working and train our Watson NLU to understand more and more context. And you will see how the training is done. It's pretty simple. No coding at all is required. So basically what we'll do is we will annotate the document. So we'll create some entities, just like in the example I showed you earlier. They created a condition entity, a repair, an accident outcome entity. And using these entities, you can start annotating the document. You can add relations, and automatically you will have a machine learning model that understand the context, so you can use it in your entity. So click on Create Workspace and give it a name. Let's say in this case, demo repair shop. And of course, make sure to keep the language of document English, because we will be training the model with English language documents. Okay, then click on Create. So now just send number 4 if you have reached the step. If you have any issues, let me know. I'm not seeing any numbers, so I hope you are following, because I'm not seeing anything from you guys. So I really hope you are doing all right. If not, just let me know. I can go ahead. I can go back if you want me to explain anything before proceeding. If not, I'll just wait a couple of half a minute. And meanwhile, again, please make sure that you have downloaded the repository. So let me go back to the repository right here. Sorry. So this is our GitHub repo, just like before. Just click on download zip and make sure to extract the zip. So once you download this, click on it. And we want to extract it. So you should have it like a regular folder, because really this is very important for us, because this is the folder that we'll be using. It has all the resources and the documents to train the model. So just make sure that you have downloaded this folder. So let me go back to, let me put this here. Okay, so this is what's in Knowledge Studio. The concept of Knowledge Studio is basically, as I explained before, it basically it relies on entities and relations. So we want to create entities, mainly entities. This is our main concept here, to start giving more and more context to our language. Now we already done this for you throughout the GitHub repository. So if you click on upload, you click on this white box, go to the file that you just downloaded, and you will see all of these different folders. So one of them is called types.json. So types.json is basically the folder that has the entities and the relations, everything, kind of the data structure that we want to use to start annotating documents. Now we'll go and explain more about these, but just click on types.json, click open, and click on upload. So now you will see that once this is uploaded, you will see automatically that we have our entities defined and subtypes. I'll explain these. So in our case, since we're working with a car repair shop, of course, it makes sense to have, for example, an entity called repair. So what are we repairing? Right? Are we repairing tires? Are we repairing engines, glasses, transmissions? So we can define these as subtypes, right? Like this one. So maintenance, brakes, engine, body. So these are all subtypes of repair. So things that we might fix. So this is, for example, an entity in here. Another one would be, for example, the mechanic. So of course, because there is someone who is repairing this kind of stuff. He's a mechanic. He can be an employee, an administrator, a shop itself. So this is why we can add some subtypes in this case. Of course, we have the customer. Maybe in the reviews, someone is saying, I went to this specific shop, Joe's car repair shop. So in this case, when I want to annotate, I can annotate the I as a customer entity because he's talking, the customer is talking. And in this case, Joe's repair shop could be the mechanic because this is the person who will be repairing the stuff. We will see this more once we start annotating, but this is kind of the main example, kind of the idea of how it works. So the entities are the objects that we want the later on and what's NLU to start understanding. So these are a couple of entities right here. Everything will make much more sense once we start annotating, but I just want to make sure to give you the idea from the very beginning. Of course, we have relation types. So for example, if a car has been repaired by Joe's car repair shop, you can add the vehicle, in this case, you can add a relationship between the car, the mechanic, and the car, and you can add a relationship between them repaired by. So this car has been repaired by this person. I need repair type if I'm saying my engine has broken or is broke, or I broke my glass. So I can add a relation that the engine needs to be repaired. So it has a repair type to this specific part of my vehicle. Again, we will see this once we start annotating. But this is kind of how relations work. So we can start adding relations between our entities that we created. So we have the customer, we have the mechanic, we have the type of vehicle, for example. We can use these relations to relate an entity to another. So now that we have our entities and relations defined, all we have to do is to give documents so we can start training the model. So let me double check if we have any questions at this point. Nope, we have nothing. All right. So I will go to documents now. You click here on the documents. So we went through entities, we've went through relations, and now we want to go ahead with documents. And this is basically where we are going to upload some document sets. So if you click on upload document sets, of course, the tool supports different formats. So we have CSV, text, PDF, doc, Word documents, HTML, and zip. Just click on here. And by the way, you can see some hint or kind of guidance for best performance, the limit number of words in each document. Usually it's better to have them fewer than 200 words, but closer to 1000 is even better. So just go ahead, click on this. And from the same folder that you downloaded through GitHub, there is a folder called corpus. We want to put all of this in there. But again, this is a folder. So the best way to do this is to convert it into a zip folder, okay? So at the moment, it's not a zip folder. All you have to do is just to make it a zip. So what you can do in this case, just go to the file where you have downloaded this part. So go to here. This is the corpus. Just right-click on it. And now in my case, I'm using Mac. You can go ahead and click on compress. So now I have my zip folder right here. Okay, it's pretty simple. So just go ahead to where you have downloaded this folder. So in this case, the GitHub repository was the name of it is easily build a custom, and just go click on it. You will see the corpus folder, and just compress it to have it as a zip file. So now if we go back, not here, yes, here, just click again. Now I have my corpus.zip. I can open it. And you will see here, it is automatically checked for you, upload a corpus documents and include ground truth. So just to keep it as it is and click on upload. So, 1 second. Okay, upload. If I could not be uploaded, the import zip. I'm not sure why this is happening. That's fine though. Anyways, we are not going to use this exact same folder, but I just wanted to show you how it works. Meanwhile, that's totally fine. What you can do at this point, because it's very rare that we're going to work with zip folders, you can just upload the sample document because this mainly is the file that we're going to work with. But I wanted to show you the other one. It was cool. It's okay though. So basically, the way why we wanted to show this, because this one, the corpus folder, if we go ahead and expand it, you will see that it has JSON documents. And usually you cannot directly upload JSON documents to the Knowledge Studio tool. So this is kind of a way, a workaround through it, where you can put them inside a folder and compress it, and then you will have a zip folder that contains the JSON file in case you are extracting your data from a specific place. And then you can go ahead and put it there. But I think from this at this specific level, what's not working is I think because I need to modify the format of it. That's why. It's fine though. Again, our focus here is on the sample document X. So this is the folder that you want to upload. So just go back, and I will show you the corpus on my already existing solution just to give you an idea. But for now, just click again on upload document set, and you will see the sample document. Click on open. Click on upload. So now you will see that you have one document. Now, of course, in real scenarios, it's much better to have much more documents rather than one, and that's why I wanted to upload the corpus, because I don't think it's not efficient to train a model with only one document. But for today's demo, it's good because this is basically what we're using, so it's okay. So this is basically a small review. We have a couple of lines. We have a lot of vocabulary that we can train the model throughout our entities and relations that we have defined once we start annotating. So we'll do this in a bit. So let's go ahead and get started. So you'll see now this specific document in here. And now we want to start train them, kind of annotate this document with what we have. So you can either, by clicking on it, by going to the documents that's here, you will see go to annotation page. Or if you want, you can just expand the machine learning model on the left side, and you will see annotations. So you can just simply click on that. And now you'll see that we have our document, which is not annotated. So we'll go ahead and annotate this document. And this is the pretty cool part. So this is where we can start actually training Watson, we're kind of LU later on how it can understand these kind of stuff or the new vocabulary. So to do this, basically, okay, we are going to start annotating. So what will happen is you will see on the right side that we have the types, the entities that we defined earlier. So I told you that maybe there's the mechanic, the vehicle, the repair, manufacturer, this kind of stuff. So we can start annotating these. In this case, the I represent the customer. He's talking, he's submitting a review. So the I is a customer in this case. So we can just put it as a customer. I was referred to Joe's auto repair by a friend. Now, Joe's auto repair in this case is the person or the entity that will be fixing the car. He's the car repair shop. So we can put this as a mechanic. He's the mechanic. So Joe's auto repair by a friend. So Joe and his daughter. So again, we have the mechanic here, Joe. He's a mechanic. And his daughter, Lydia. So again, we can annotate Lydia as a mechanic because apparently they are working together. It's a family business. So they are incredible. Okay, we have now Joe and Lydia are both belong to the mechanic entity. They mainly specialize in domestic SUV and motorcycle. So SUV and motorcycle, these are both vehicles, right? So we can add vehicle in here. Basically, these are type of vehicles. So we can add them like that. Then, for example, they are also certified to service electronics and drivetrains. So these are, for example, subtypes that we've used in the repair entity. So we know that these are stuff that kind of usually need to be repaired. So we can go ahead and add these as repair stuff. They belong to the repair entity. So now, for example, I'm telling Watson Knowledge Studio here that these words belong to the repair entity. So these kind of are stuff that needs to be repaired. This person right here, this belongs to a mechanic entity. So this is how it starts to work. Basically, this is how it works. Then, for example, here they also do a lot of body work and glass. So these as well belong to the repair. So glass, again, it's another subtype into repair. So we can just annotate them as repairs. My car need a complete engine. So let's remove this. So by the way, you can expand it and you can minimize it as much as you want. So the might represent the customer. The car is again the vehicle. Needed a complete engine rebuild. So engine in this case, this is a subtype of repair. So these are stuff that can be repaired. We can put it in as a repair entity. And also need a rear and front wheel alignment. So wheel alignment, this is a repair for wheels. We can go ahead and make repair. And here that's pretty interesting that we have rear and front. So this is how we can go more advanced on training the model. So we have an entity defined as location. So we can add rear and front as location. So now, for example, when you run this passage with NLU, it's going to understand that rear and front are locations. So we can extract these as locations. So this is how we can start, getting much more and more context. Joe got everything done much quicker than expected. So in this case, we can simply just go ahead and add Joe as a mechanic. He as well, Joe, he's a mechanic. He was also able to acquire parts for a fraction of the initially quoted price. There's nothing here to annotate. If you're looking for a great service, come visit Joe and Lydia. So again, these are both the mechanics. So that's how easy it is to annotate the documents. We are just using our entities that we have created and put them in here. So yeah, this is basically how it works. So now the second part is the relations, of course. So now we have our entities defined, but we can actually add relations between them to give more and more as well additional context. So first thing is we need to make sure to click save. I'm going to see if we have any questions so far. Nope. Okay, so just click save. And once this is saved, click on relation. So in relation, this is where we can use our relation types defined, and we can start doing relations in here. So let's go and work, for example, on this specific line or two lines. My car needed a complete engine. So the first one is we can have the belongs to relation between my and the car. So the car belongs to this customer. Basically to do this, just click on car, just click on, not the car itself, the entity that represents the car, which is the vehicle. And click on the relation belongs to, click on it, and click on the, on where you want to add it. So, okay, so this is a bit tricky sometimes. We are working on fixing this. Okay, belongs to vehicle, car. 1 second. Okay, belongs to, right? Sorry about that. So just, it's better if you drag and drop it to here. It will be better. So this, our first relation belongs to between the vehicle and the customer. Now we can have another relation between the car and the engine. So we know that the engine and the car need a repair type of engine. So the engine needs repair in this case. So we can click on need repair type, click on repair, and okay, click. Let me try this. Need repair type. Click on this. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay, need repair type. So now the car, the first repair that needs the engine, and then the repair, the second one is the wheel alignment. So let's go ahead and do the exact same thing. So we're going to click on repair. Now we want to repair the wheel alignment. So we can go ahead and do the exact same thing. So we'll click on here, repair type, and that's it basically. So I think the easiest way to do this is just to click on the first entity and then click on the relation and click on the second entity. It will do the relation for you. So now we have three relations in this example. The first one is belongs to the customer. This car belongs to this customer. And then we have two need repair type. In this case, the engine needs repair and the wheel alignment needs repair for the specific car. So again, this is useful to add some more context, but usually the best way to start is of course with the entity, so you can have more vocabulary and more understanding just with the entity part. But this is for more advanced stuff. That's why I wanted to show you on how we can use it in here. So click on save. Here I'll check if we have any issues, any questions. Nope. All right, so once we click on save, there is one last thing that I wanted to show you in here is the co-reference part. So with the co-reference, basically, this is helpful to merge different, kind of, let's say, words together. So in this case, I know that Joe and basically Joe's auto repair, Joe, he are all belong. They all belong to the same person. So I can just click on each one of them. So Joe, he, and here, for example, Joe. And let's add the auto repair as well. So these are all belong to the same person, which is Joe, the mechanic. And now, so if you click on each one of them, and the last entity you click on it, so you double click on it, it will automatically take all of them as one object now. So we have the first one, Joe, which represent all of this. So that's the exact same thing with the I, with the customer, basically. So if you click on the first one, on the first entity here, and the second one here, now let's click again, because this is the last one, so we're done. Now we will have another one added, which represent, in this case, the customer. Let's go and do, for example, you can keep doing this as you want, but for example, Lydia, we have two Lydia in here. So this is, we can add Lydia as, that this Lydia is reference to this Lydia, they are the same person. This is just another additional stuff that I want to show you. It's called co-reference. Basically, you can click on save. All right. So now once we have this is done, so at the moment we went through, we have mentioned our document with entities, we have added some relations, we've even showed how we can work with co-reference. Now the last thing is to go ahead and train it, like to actually deploy the model. So you click on performance right here on the left side. And you can go ahead and click on train and evaluate. So this is usually the split. You can modify it if you want, but this is the recommended one. Now at this moment, we only have one, so we can click on all. We can click on train and evaluate. So yeah, that's the problem now, because the machine model training CrossFit does not exist. The problem is here is that we only have one document. I'm not sure why we were not being able to upload the other ones. There was a format issue. Let me check again. Line set, yeah, because there's only one. But basically to show it to you, and I'll fix the format on the repo as well to see if there is another way to do that. Actually, let's check right now currently at this moment. If we go to, okay, so we'll do the following. In the GitHub repository, if you go to the GitHub, let me go back to the GitHub, you will see the hands-on guide. Click on this. And this will open up a new page, which is basically the tutorial that we're using. And if you scroll down,
Khalil, we do have a question and ask a question section.
Yeah.
It's, can you please show us again how to create resource?
How to create resource? Which resource?
I'm not sure if they could mention it in the chat. Sh- Shabir, could you mention which resource are you talking about? We can ask Khalil to repeat that again.
I think the resource of the tool. So in this case, if we go back to the IBM main page in IBM Cloud, basically this is where we create our resources. So on the main dashboard.
Okay, I think Shabir has messaged that he has figured it out.
Okay, all right. So, okay, that's good. But usually this is where we create resource. On the main dashboard, you click on the blue button, you search for every tool you want. In this case, it was NLU and the Node Studio, and go ahead with the light plan, give it a name, and you should be good to go. Yeah, so regarding the formats, so I was saying here in the hands-on part, if you go ahead, I will do this right now. Let's see, add relations, collect document. All right, so you see here in this part under collect document that describe the domain language, there is a set of pre-annotated synthetic reviews to get started, so which you can download. So click on this link, and this will give you to send it to another GitHub repo. Okay, so we want this file. So at the moment, I'm not sure why this person has like that. It's a raw, but we want to download it. So what you can do is click on virtual insurance assistant. And we're going to download this specific file, download zip. Okay, so now we have this repo. It's already been extracted for me, so I can just go ahead and click on it. And then you are going to, we want to go to the data part, the data folder, and you will see WKS. So click on this. So in this case, the corpus here is already been extracted. So I think this format would work well. In my case, because I was trying to put it on my GitHub repo, it was not working for some reason. But anyways, now let's try it out. So let me go back to our repair shop right here. I know here there was many steps, so just let me know in the chat and I will go back to explain this. The session, by the way, is recorded in case you want to go ahead and try it yourself. Everything is recorded on the same link that you just accessed right now to watch the workshop. So yes, if we go back to documents, I'm going to try and to upload this folder that was not working. So let me delete this blind thing. Okay, upload document set, folder. Let's go to download, virtual. Again, we go to the folder that we just downloaded. We go to data, to WKS. You will see the zip folder right here. So just open it. You will see this in here. Click upload. All right, so this one works. So now basically this is a pre-annotated folder that has all the documents. This is what I was trying to do at the beginning, but I think I was having some format issues from my GitHub. So basically if you click on it, on the review, you are going to see there are different passages, and these are examples. So my windshield was broken, so I went to this auto repair, and the person is paying his own experience. And we have here another person, and another person. This is how it works. And there are some stuff that are annotated. So you will see if we go back to our our annotations, there are some basic annotations in here. So in this case, like there are 65 out of 90 documents annotated, which is enough to train the model. We can go ahead and check some of them. So if we go, for example, the first one, it has some pretty basic annotation. Like in this case, they have already just, it's already annotated with the repair part, but you can add more and more into it. So if you can add lead this auto repair as a mechanic, just like we did with the example, the document work. We're not going to repeat the same thing. But the reason why we worked with the document were because it was a bigger review. It has a bit of everything, of more entities, so we can show you how more meaningful it is to annotate with more, show you the value of Node Studio. So let's go now back and try to run this at the moment. We'll see if this should be working fine. Okay, performance. So now I'm going to click on train and evaluate. Train and evaluate. But I didn't choose my sets. Why? Okay. Let's go back to performance. Okay. That's really weird. Of type training does not exist. I'm not sure. I thought the issue is with the number of documents, but even with that, it's okay. Anyways, meanwhile, what we can do is I'll go to my existing model and I'll show it to you from there, because this one is making some issues. I'm not sure. Anyways, let's go back to this one in this case. So usually what happens is you can, once you click and train the model, it's going to go ahead and basically take all the documents that you have, and we'll go ahead and run them out. So the problem here is that the training takes some time. It will take around 6 to 7 minutes. But then once it's done, once you have your training, it will show you that the model has been already trained. You can click on versions, and basically in here you will see you can click on create a version, and you'll basically be able to see your model, right? It will generate a model for you. So when you create a version, it will ask you to relate or to connect basically this Knowledge Studio to a specific natural language understanding service. Now remember, at the beginning of the workshop, we have already created our NLU. So all you have to do now is just choose the NLU that you created and add it right here, and then it will generate this for you with a model ID, which we'll be using to test it out and try it out. So basically, this is how we we trained the model. But I think some issues happen with my current workspace. I'm not sure why. Let me try one more thing. I want to try this demo because this demo, for example, I did not even train it. So this one has the exact same documents, everything. If we go ahead and click on documents, this one, okay, let's go to performance. I want to double check if this was working fine. Okay, so this one was already trained, but it doesn't have a version, so I can go ahead and show you the version part, how it works. So we click on create version. You click on OK. If you can add a description if you want, that's up to you. And here, basically, what you will see the version right here. You click on deploy, and you click on NLU. Next, and this is where you choose the service that you have created. Now that's why at the beginning, I wanted to make sure that you remember the region. In my case, it's London, and the resource group is of course default. So if I choose London and choose, this is my default, I will be able to see my service name, which is this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and deploy. Now at the moment I cannot deploy it because I have already deployed the model before the session starts. For cases like that, because for some reason the new one, it's not working. I'm not sure why, what happened. But I think if you're running it right now from scratch, it should be working totally fine, or maybe just the issue from my side. So yeah, once you have this, so now what we have done is we have added this new context that we've defined in Knowledge Studio to our natural language understanding by deploying it, just like I showed you at the moment. So now we can go ahead and actually test it out. And to do this, we need an API key, the what's in the new API key. So go back to IBM Cloud. And basically what I want you to do is to go to services and software right here, just like the first time, expand it, and expand to service and software, and access the Watson NLU that you have created. Now in my case, it's this one. This is my NLU service. Okay, so basically you will see the API key and the URL. So you need to copy these and paste them somewhere else, wherever you want. It's totally up to you. And what we want to do is we are going to add this in a kind of a sample file, a demo file to run our code. So this sample file, if you go to the repository that we have downloaded before, let me go back. Okay, there is this folder called demo.json. So basically, this is a JSON file that has some parameters that we want to run to test our model. So it has some text. My track windshield was cracked, so I went to Joe's Auto Shop and they placed it for me. We are adding some features. So this is basically some stuff, parameter stuff when it comes to what's NLU. In this case, I want to enable entities. I want to get the emotions. I want to get categories, relations. And of course, because we have trained the model, a new model that's added to it, we can now add the model ID right here. So what I want you to do here in this case is just replace this model ID by the actual model ID that you have, okay? So in my case, what I have is this. So open any editor you want. I'm sorry, let me open it here. We'll show you what it looks like. Okay. So in my case, I have already my model ID generated, and you should have something like that. So this is my model ID. I've put it right here, and as well I've put it right here, and I've enabled everything. So now I have this my parameter file ready. Okay. So the next thing is now we are ready to actually run a post, a curl post, so basically a post API with this specific text that we have in this parameter, and run a review on it and see what kind of data extraction we'll get. So to do this, basically, just open the terminal. Okay, let me. Can I zoom in here? Okay, open the terminal, and let's go back to the repo because the command curl is actually there, so you can simply copy and paste it. So if I go to the repository, which is right here, okay, if you scroll down, okay, here on this, exactly where under deploy model to what's in NLU, you will see this command right here. So just copy this and paste it, but I prefer to not paste it directly in the terminal. I prefer to paste it, for example, open notes, let's say, just add file new note, paste it here if you want. Because it's easier to modify the things. For example, we want to add the API key and we want to add the URL. If we want to do this directly from the terminal, it's up to you, then it might be a bit more difficult. Here, it's much more easy. So now we have the API key and we have the URL, which we already have them from what's in the U. So remember I told you when we open a U to just copy them wherever you want. So this is actually where we'll be using them. So this is, for example, my NLU. I can just copy my API key. It's copied. Let me put this here. And then I'm going to remove everything in here. So everything between the braces, including the braces, and just paste the API here. And then the exact same thing for the URL. I'll copy the URL, and then I'm going to paste the URL right here. Now we will see here there is the add parameters.json. So this is basically the JSON file. Now, of course, you should change this to whatever you named the file. So in our case, in my case, when I tested out, I named it test.json. And the GitHub repository that you have, it's named demo.json. So if you want to run it out, you need to call it the exact same name that you have in here. But of course, there is the add. So this is basically the path of where the exact file is. Now, to keep it simple, if you want, just drag the demo part, the file, to the desktop. And in this case, you can just go ahead and type cd desktop. Now, in this case, I am in my desktop. So if you click on cd desktop, it will go ahead. You can keep it in the file if you want that is currently there. Just make sure to enter the folder. So if it's in your downloads, just make sure to add cd and then download so we can go to this directory. Because if you're not in this directory and you've mentioned the name of the file, it won't be able to find it out, right? So then what you have to do is just copy and paste it in terminal. In this case, it's a post command. The content type is application.json. This is my API key. Then this is my parameter file. It's called test.json. It will find it because it's on my desktop, and currently I am in my desktop directory. And then this is the URL of my NLU. So now, if we click on run, it's going to run the NLU on the text message that we have in the parameter. So basically, these are the insights. Now, again, just to make a quick, remark here, so you are still following along with me. Remember the code in the parameter file. We had, where is it? Remember in our parameter file, we had this text. What we want to do is we want to run NLU on this specific text, on this passage, and we want to see what kind of insights we can have after we have trained the model. And this is exactly what we're doing right here. So this is the result. So in this case, after I run this, I can see the sentiment for this specific score is positive, obviously, because if we go to the text, I mean, it's pretty positive. they did an excellent job. I would highly recommend them. So it's obviously positive. In this case, some of the entities that we're focusing on here, since we want, before starting the workshop, we want to see what kind of entities we're working with. So in this case, it extracted the windshield entity. So it understood that windshield is something that this customer wanted to be repaired. So we have it right here. It as well, understand the customer with the my, because we've trained that my is a customer. Joe's, in this case, it understand that he's the mechanic. Joe's auto repair shop. Another, for example, customer here, which is I, vehicle. So this is basically how we can start training the model. I know this is a pretty simple example, but I want to show you that at the beginning, if you run this, with basic NLU, it won't be able to understand, some of the stuff. For example, it won't be able to understand what we need to repair. But here, because we've trained the model and we've annotated that, we've defined some of the stuff that help us to understand what is what. In this case, windshield is something that needs to repair. We annotated, in this case, the shop owner is called Joe, so he's the mechanic. To understand that this is the mechanic person, understand that I is the customer. And this is how we can start training the model more and more to give it more context, to make it smarter, to build on top of what we have on the other U, to give it some more, feeding it with some more words, some more vocabularies, just like we have seen this moment. So yeah, that's it for the workshop. I know there was a bit of the technical issues when it comes to creating the workspace, but I'm sure if you just follow along again the recording, everything will be fine. I think the error was from my side, not something global. So yeah, that's it basically. I'll give it back to Mridul so he can conclude this session, and I'll be answering any questions if you have. So please do ask any questions. Mridul, I'll be sharing the presentation, but I just want you. Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
And let me just put myself on mute.
Yeah. So in the workshop today, we saw how Khalil showed us how to use Watson Knowledge Studio to build a custom linguistic model for an auto repair facility, and this helps it generate insights about the shop's overall performance. And this also helps us determine the types of repairs that were needed for the vehicles and determine the customer's overall satisfaction from the repairs. And using a custom with the use of a custom model in what Knowledge Studio, we were able to and natural language understanding, we were able to extract the insights, and that really helped us to understand the overall performance of the shop, the satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and the types of repairs that were coming in. Next, we have some useful links for you that we'd like to share. So you can go ahead, you can access these links. The first link is to sign up for the IBM Cloud account. So using this link, you can sign up for a free IBM Cloud account, and you can access the resources and services for free. And then we have the hands-on lab. So that's a link for that. So if you want to see the steps written somewhere, we have documented all the steps, and you can go ahead and you can access the steps from here, and you can follow along in the hands-on session. And then we have an IBM developer link, that developer.ibm.com, where we have a lot of code content tutorials which you can access, and you can try out different services, and you can try out different use cases, and you can try to build your own projects using that. And then we also have a meetup group where you can keep yourself notified about our upcoming events. So you can go ahead and you can follow us there, and you'll keep getting notifications about upcoming events. So you can go ahead and you can follow us in that group on Meetup. Next, we have. So thank you for joining us today. These are our contact details. I'll be sharing this in the chat. So you can, if you have any questions, you can go ahead. You can message us. We'll be happy to help you out with any queries you have. So I've just share the details in the chat. You can go ahead, and we also have the survey link. So please fill the survey link. This helps us, understand what we have, what we should focus on, what we can improve, and we can, try to tailor the workshops and the webinars according to your requirements, and try to focus on topics which are of more interest to you and which are more useful to you. So please, you can use your phone cameras, you can scan the QR code, you can fill the survey, and let us know how we did. And Naira has also shared it in the chat, so you can go ahead, you can click on that, and you can try and fill the survey and let us know how we did. So yeah, and if you have any questions, just post it in the chat, and we'll just I think so. Or you could reach out to us. I've shared the contact details uh, in the chat, so you can reach out to us anyhow you prefer.
Yeah, I just want to add, so whenever you want to try this again, just double check because I'm not sure the issue from the corpus file we have in our GitHub repo. Just make sure to follow it along from the hands-on. So it was, let me share my screen just quickly. So in the GitHub repo, there is the hands-on guide, which will direct you directly to the actual lab itself, which is right here. Where is the GitHub? Uh, which is basically this is the one that we've reached out. So from the tutorial that you will see on IBM Developer, there is a part where they will tell you to download the file, and they will direct you here. So this is where we downloaded it, and then by accessing the data, there is the WKS file, and then there is the corpus. You can download it and then add it, upload it basically to the tool, Node Studio tool. So this is something to keep in mind. In case you face any issues, just let us know and we'll help you over again. That's totally fine. And yeah, that's it. Just wanted to share this thing. Okay. All right.